Well, I think I'll take a look at the water, see if we need to fill it up. I'm sure we do. I didn't do it yesterday. It was pretty cloudy and I had to deliver a lawnmower. So yeah, it's real low. Lower than I expected, actually. So I'll go down and turn on the inverter. It's not quite sunny enough yet. We got some partial clouding. Something you got to think about when you have solar panels is different portions of the sky. This is south. Right now the south part of the sky is very cloudy. And so we're kind of hoping everything's kind of moving south, because when you go to north, there's plenty of sun. Or at least it's no clouds, I should say. But south is where the sun is right now. So I'm gonna turn on the inverter, and the other thing is the trees are still covering the sun from the solar panels, so it's very dark over here. Turn on the big inverter. This is the little one. This one runs the house. And then this one runs the well and some of the equipment for the lawnmower repair business, the pressure washer, the ultrasonic cleaner. So speaking of that business, I watched a video today that helped me confirm that my belief in something is true. So my company name, I'm not going to tell you what it is very specific, that it only deals with lawn equipment. And so when people call me, I try to explain, you know, lawn equipment, a mower, a weed eater, a leaf blower, even a chainsaw. If it's not industrial strength, you know, chainsaws you trimming limbs with. And I'll make some exceptions to that. One time I got an air compressor. Had a Honda engine on it, a tiller. Trying to think of any other exotic things that. Oh, I'll even do a log splitter. I'll work on those. But I try to be very careful on what I take. And I think I mentioned earlier this year, I'm not going to take equipment being used for commercial use. And I'm very specific on how I say that. You can say, well, I'm not going to take commercial equipment, but then somehow bring in a Husqvarna zero turn residential, and they've been using it, you know, 200 hours a week, which we actually had that problem this last summer. That's what, that customer is the reason I stopped taking them. I'm not going to take them. So, but they do call. I mean, you know, they think small engine, which nothing in my business name says small engine. It says lawn equipment. So they'll call and say, hey, will you work on a golf cart or a boat or a ski-doo or a side-by-side? And I say, no, I'm not going to do it. And the one thing is if I have to replace this equipment, I wouldn't be able to afford to do it. You know, zero turn is starting to get up there in the price range of really expensive, but most of them, residential zero turns, are still below that $10,000 range, where it would be a real bite in the hindsight to have to replace one. But I could. But when you start getting into this other stuff, I mean, some of these boats are like houses. They're just huge. And there's just no way. That's not a small engine anymore. That's, you know, you're starting to get into some serious money. So, again, I try to be very specific. And people get kind of offended by that. Now, the thing is I'm probably the only mechanic that works on small equipment, lawnmower equipment, within, I don't know, probably 40 miles So, you know, it kind of makes sense that they want me to do it, but I'm not going to do it. I mean, the two guys who used to do this stuff around here have both retired. There was a kid that did it, but he got arrested. He was into, you know, dealing illegal substances. He ran from the police a few times, so both him and his wife were arrested, so he doesn't do it anymore. And he did work on that other stuff, but I won't. And like I said, they get pretty offended. And I know one customer who still recommends me. This is what's funny. He recommends me to other people, but he won't bring his equipment to me anymore because he found somebody else that will work on his boat, his side-by-side, and all, you know, golf cart and all that stuff. So I guess he's trying to keep all his business with one person. But like I said, he still recommends me. I do find it disappointing that I'm going to lose lawn equipment because I don't know. I just... But the thing is that when you're spending $15,000 on a piece of equipment, that's not lawn equipment. There's nothing on your lawn that's that important. The one that gets me the most is side-by-sides. These, like, John Deere Gators. Those are expensive. The cheapest one I found for John Deere was $15,299. I just looked, and here's the thing. This one is powered by a Briggs & Stratton engine. It's set up different than anything I've ever seen. It's got the carburetor, you know, not ever seen, but recent models. So, I mean, they're building it specifically for, but this one was 16 horsepower, it's Briggs & Stratton, and, you know, I could work on it. I could. But, oh, the nightmare that you would have to go through. First of all, I'm not set up for it. Just to change the oil, you would have to have one of those car lifts. And that's the thing, is the engine is pretty much the only thing that resembles a lawnmower. Everything else starts to look like possibly a car. The electronics, it's got a horn. The one I just mentioned, the Gator, is four-wheel drive. So it has a, what do you call that? Not a universal. It's got a universal joint, but it's also got a transfer case. So you got to get that power up there. So I mean, and so you got to have, like I said, a lift, and it just becomes a big deal. I remember somebody, I tried to tell him, and I tried to tell him, and tried to tell him that I don't work on four-wheelers. I just need you to change the battery. And he says, I tell you what, I also have a zero turn that I need worked on. So if you'll work on put the battery into that, you know, you can have the work for the zero turn. I said, fine. And it took me like 2 hours to get that battery in there. I mean, all the junk that was in the way, everything had to be moved. So, you know, I told him that I would do it for an hour's wage. And, I mean, I lost money on that deal. Well, not lost, but I lost time on that deal. So, yeah, I just really don't agree with it. And they all try to convince you, oh, it's fine. You should, you know, you can work on it. Well, the first thing I tell them is, you know, if I break it, I gotta buy it, and I don't want to buy it. Oh man, don't worry about that. No, no, I would never sue you. Sure you wouldn't. So no, there's just no way. I mean, can you imagine? First of all, they probably bought it on credit, and they're probably still paying on it, would be my guess. And they don't want to take it to John Deere, which is the only place that's really qualified to work on these things. I mean, there are other people that will, but even some really good mechanics that I see on YouTube, they'll work on it and say, I'm not doing this ever again. Nah. Just watched one just a minute ago. So, but then you'll say, okay, well, what if it catches on fire, or someone steals it off out of my shop area? Are you going to make me pay for it? Well, yeah, of course, yeah, I guess I would. What if, you know, let's say you had me adjust the brakes and the brakes failed and it turned out to be my fault. Are you going to sue me for that? Well, yeah. Okay, so see, no, I'm not interested in any of that. No. So I've always turned it down, but boy, they just really try to convince you. I had one guy said, no, I only work on lawn equipment. Well, this is lawn equipment. It's specifically designed for lawn equipment. I said, no, sir. It's farm equipment. Well, I don't believe that. Well, if it's lawn equipment, think about this. If you needed to get from one side of your property to the other side of your property, that's called a lawn, you could just get on your lawnmower and go over there, and you'd be over there in, like, 30 seconds. I would be, and I have an acre and a half. It would only take me, a couple seconds to get down to the other side of the property, no matter which direction I went. And that side's wooded. So you can modify your lawnmower a little bit, like I did with the Beast or with the John Deere. I got chains on it. I didn't modify the Beast. The Beast came with the tractor wheels. So, and you can climb these hills. Just the John Deere actually does better with the chains. So, and that was $50. And now I have something that's going to take me all over the property. And I can pull lots of weight with the Beast. I can pull 1,500 pounds with. Now that Gator I was just telling you about, the $15,000 one, is the cheapest one they sell. Has a 16 horsepower engine. My John Deere has a 17 horsepower engine. The Beast has a 22 horsepower engine. So I can pull 1,500 pounds with that Beast. John Deere I can pull 500. I just watched a Gator try to pull 4 people around. It could barely do it. It's way, way underpowered. So, you're spending $15,000 on a piece of equipment, or you can go and get a lawn tractor under 10 easy. The Beast was $100 for me, plus all the parts I put into it. I mean, yeah, you could buy a used. So I'm comparing apples to oranges. You could buy a used Gator also, but you see my point. And but very few people want to work on them. Now, I just watched this mechanic, which I already kind of knew this. I knew it was difficult to work on. If you want to remove an engine from a lawnmower, it takes you a half hour at most. There's 3 or 4 bolts, depending on the style of the engine, underneath the engine. You got to take that out. You have to take out the shaft, which is another bolt. You unplug some wires all the way around it, and you would have to disconnect the muffler. And it comes straight out. Pick it up, and so, I mean, it's a half hour work. If you're slow, an hour. If you don't have the lift or something. With a Gator, it takes 16 hours to get the engine out. 16 hours. So no, that is not lawn equipment. That is a complex piece of equipment that has all kinds of shrouds. They took out the shroud. The video I just watched was, he just needed to clean the carburetor. Now I can clean a carburetor. I can have it off in about 5 minutes. Clean it, 20 minutes in the ultrasonic cleaner, back on in 5 minutes. Now, excluding the cleaning portion, because if you cleaned it by hand or use ultrasonic cleaner, it'd be different speeds. So 10 minutes. The Gator had 21 bolts that had to be removed for one shroud, plus the hose connections and different things. And then there was another shroud underneath that had 2 or 3 bolts they had to take out. You're already up to a half hour just removing shrouds just to get to the carburetor. The fuel filter was underneath that shroud. So just to change the fuel filter, you're spending 20 minutes to get it on and off. Fuel filter on a lawnmower, it's right there on the side. So no, it's not the same. Like I said earlier, the likeness between a lawnmower and a Gator is the engine. That's it. I had one guy so adamant, I think I must have made him mad. He called and said, I got a side-by-side sitting out in the middle of the field, has been for a couple of years, like for your work. I said, no, I can't work on it. And I explained all the reasons, like I always do. No, I'm not going to sue you. Don't worry about it. And I was recommended by, or, you were recommended by so-and-so, which I knew the person they were talking about. And, see if you can get it running. No big deal. It's going to just sit there anyways. So I finally said, okay, yeah, I'll take a look at it. Well, he never showed up. So, yeah, what are you supposed to do? I bet he spent more time trying to convince me to work on it than it would have taken him to bring it over here. I don't understand people. But no, I'm not going to work on it. And the reason I bring this up is I've had several people ask me, when are you going to start working on other things? Well, there's other YouTube channels. My channel name for the other channel is Shade Tree Lawnmower Mechanic. That does not mean side-by-sides. That does not, I mean, I even, you know, I say lawnmower. I do chainsaws. Well, the same thing I do for the business. Chainsaws, weed eaters, lawnmowers. Anything that deals with the lawn itself. So, no, I'm not going to do anything more. I think with this new channel, I think it's going to succeed, be a huge success, because I'm sticking to a specific topic. Lawn equipment. For the folks that want to get their grass cut, and you know what, the mower doesn't want to start up, they've only got a few hours before it's going to rain, and they want to take the carburetor off and see if they can clean it. And there's a video right there, 15-minute video. You'll be cleaning your carburetor. So if you'll click this up next box, take the video over to my other channel. It'll be a brand new video day. I really appreciate it if you go check it out. So I hope it can inspire you to not overextend yourself, so you can live your dreams. Thanks for watching.